What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you go to coinmastery.com/invest and join our free newsletter, especially if you're brand new here. Get on the board with us. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We are talking about long-term investing trends. We're talking about some short-term stuff. Today we have a good mix. I think we have some really cool info for you guys, some new ideas to think about, especially for people that are in this for the long term, but also understanding what's going on right now so that you can make better decisions about the long-term game and decision. Because even though I might be focusing on trading, I think that it's important always to have a balanced viewpoint and to understand the bigger picture of what's happening. So we've got some really cool stuff, both on the micro level, more on the technical side, but we're going to spend most of the time talking about some bigger picture things. What I wanted to show you, first of all, this is not financial advice for everybody who's new here. This is what we say every day, just to make it crystal clear. I'm not a professional. So what I wanted to kick off with, we were looking at this trend line yesterday, just taking a look at what these trend lines are doing. I wanted to zoom in and I wanted to show you a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes. Now, this is especially for people that are definitely don't have the time, nor do they have the interest to be doing this kind of stuff during the day. And I would say it's probably a majority of people. And it's probably a very healthy and smart thing that you should do if you have lives and people that you should do that. But it is important to understand what exactly is going on. And I can't even say exactly because I don't think anybody really knows exactly what's going on. But as I learn, as I see these things, I want to share this information with you so that you can just understand what's going on. So we are looking at we're using Bitfinex just because it's got more data. The volume's more accurate. We're looking at the long-term trend line, and I'm going to zoom in to the recent last week or so. We had that bottom right around, let's call it 8,300, and now we are in what is potentially what's called a bear flag. And you don't really need to know what that means. But I'm zooming into the 60-minute, which is the hourly chart. And what you can see here is that it bounces off the bottom. If it can just go like that, didn't quite get to the bottom there, down to the bottom, up to the top, and now we're down to the bottom. And now we are hopefully on our way back up to hit the top of this channel again. If we do, terrific. If not, this would continue to dump down. If it breaks this blue line, that's when things start to get pretty dicey. So we really hope that this current trend pushes up to this trend line, and in a perfect world, we would actually break through. Technically speaking, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but a man can hope. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because of this bottom line. Now, this purple thing, if you've never seen this is a RSI, which is a relative strength index. This shows you how overbought or oversold something is, meaning if it's screaming up in price and everybody's buying it, that means it's overpriced, it's overbought right now. Or if everybody's selling it, it's oversold, which means it may be underpriced based on kind of the mean regression line, if that makes sense. So we're looking at this just to see kind of the heat of the action. And more importantly, what I wanted to talk to you about is right here at the bottom, which just shows the margin trading. People that are going long, going short. Now, it doesn't matter if you margin trade or not. In fact, I would say most people do not. And that's a good thing. It's a very, very risky behavior. But it is a really good indicator of what's going on right now. Because what is happening over the last couple of weeks, is that this has just been a complete game back and forth between algorithms and between margin traders. And they are the ones that are pushing this price up and down, up and down, up and down. And they are just moving it back and forth, almost like just a game, really. That's really what it comes down to. And that's why yesterday I talked about, I think that the overall sentiment is still positive, but there's so much of this volatile pressure that's happening. And the way you can kind of dig into this, if you ever wanted to, this is not an exact science, is you can start to look at how many people are going long and how many people are going short at any given time. Now, this is on the 60-minute, 1 hour candle. But if you drill into, let's say, the 5-minute candle, and you can see that the green line shows how many people are going long and the red line shows how many people are going short. And what's counterintuitive is that as these are printed, often what happens is that it goes the other way. So that if a lot of people are shorting something, often you would think that, oh, there's a lot of sell pressure, the price is going to drop. But what happens in situations like this often is that it spikes up because the players of this game want to liquidate all those short positions to clear the books out so that they can push the price up and get their longs to go up, right? So they can make money on their other positions. And if that sounds too complicated, don't worry about it. But this is really important to know. And at least if you ever wanted to go and check this stuff out, you can get all this. It's all in TradingView. But it shows you, it's probably one of the best indicators to show you how the price action is playing out. And more importantly, to show you that it's all just being manipulated right now by algorithms, by bots, by margin traders, by leverage traders, by people that are professional traders. And that it's, anything that goes up and down in the middle of the day, it's, unless you are really staring at the screen all day, it's not worth getting too bent out of shape about. You can also at least start to dig into this and learn how this, get some semblance of this. If you ever want to go on, this is one bot, BitMEX Rect. You can go on whale calls. That does Bitfinex. BitMEX Rect obviously does BitMEX, and it shows you how strong the liquidation was, which can show you some semblance of underlying support here. Now, the reason why you should care about this, like if you're like, look, I'm just buying Bitcoin, I'm just buying Ethereum, I want a long-term hold, what's the price going to be in 5 years? It's important to know that this is going on because it's going to help you have stronger hands, right? If you just assumed that this was what the price action really was, and you didn't know the full story, it can hurt your ability. It can keep you up at night. It can cause you stress. You may be selling or buying with bad information. And so I wanted to share this with you because I think that the more you know, even if you're not a trader, the more you understand, the better of an investor you can become. And we're going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into the details of this because this is one of those things that I know most people are probably not that, they're not going to dig in. If you are, you should start checking this out. You can go to bfxdata.com. That's all the Bitfinex data, which is what this is pulling from, which is like the main margin trading platform, but it's pretty accurate across all platforms, and go from there. And at the very least, it can give you hopefully some peace of mind, but at least a feeling of control, really. Because, when you look at anxiety, anxiety is defined as a feeling of not being in control in many ways. So getting control through education relieves anxiety, therefore helps decisions be more rational. They're better decisions. Better decisions, as we know, makes more money. That's why it matters. Okay? So it's just one piece of the puzzle that many people don't know about. Let's go and take a look at what's happening. We're bouncing around because of this very recent just bump up, a couple hundred points. We moved the market cap up a bit here, but we're seeing a little bit of the same, right? Someone had a really good comment on Twitter yesterday. Yesterday I mentioned how you can do some research on your portfolio and see the relative strength of each of these coins based on Bitcoin. So if you think Bitcoin's bullish or bearish, you can adjust your portfolio accordingly. One thing you can do if you have TradingView, the free account, you can click on this compare button and you can type in another coin and it'll actually overlay it right on top of Bitcoin, or compare Litecoin to Ethereum or Litecoin to whatever, Bitcoin Cash or Cardano or any of these coins, and you can actually see a visual representation of it. I thought that was a cool. So I can't remember the name, but thanks for the reminder on that. The big story today over on the altcoin market was really Binance, and I think that there's a few things that you should keep in mind. By the way, I don't know why my screen is so white today, but so it goes. So Binance this morning released news that they are coming out with a new exchange. They're coming out with a decentralized exchange, and they didn't say what they're building the decentralized exchange on, assuming they're going to create their own token or something. But it's not going to be on, say, 0x or Kyber or any of these platforms, AirSwap, as far as we know. But here's what's really interesting. So they came out and they said, we're building a new exchange. Immediately, like within a minute, I'm looking at the Binance chart now. The price of the Binance coin, which is the token that Binance Exchange uses, just absolutely exploded in price. It went from 8,700 Satoshis up to almost 1,200 Satoshis. It's pretty massive. Was that like 40%, give or take? Now it's back down to 20%. But I think this speaks volumes on a big way. All right. And from a macro standpoint, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is, oh, Binance is successful. This is positive news. Therefore, I should go out and buy Binance coin. But let's dig into that for a second. Okay. First of all, in what is considered a bear market, why would anybody immediately go and buy an altcoin just like that? Like, why would they have a knee-jerk reaction when it wasn't even like, this news isn't like, oh, we just got 25 million new users. Like it's just, hey, we're thinking about doing a decentralized exchange. We have no idea if it's even going to work. And it adds 40% to the market cap of the entire company. So I think that shows it's a very good indicator in how much pent-up demand there is for good news right now. I've mentioned this before, but some of the best advice I ever got from a mentor of mine, a marketing mentor back in the day, is he told me, he's like, Carter, people want to spend money every single day, and they're going to spend money every single day. The key is, what are they going to spend their money on, right? Like, what choices do they actually have? And in crypto, the thing that people spend their money on is coins, right? That's what they do. That's how they get their dopamine. This is all broadly speaking, obviously. But I think that this is the first thing I've seen in at least in the last week, which is since the last kind of, oh my God, bad dip type of thing, where we've seen a huge pump in a big coin. So there's a lot of pent up buying demand from existing people like you and me. So retail investors, when you look at crypto, when you look at the coin market cap, a lot of investors, a lot of this money, in my opinion, has not exited crypto. It's just exited like the market. It's on the sidelines. It's either in Tether or in fiat or somewhere, but it's waiting to get back in. It just needs a reason. And you can see how this pullback, it goes back 50%, a retracement in a matter of, let's call it 2 hours. You can see that people are like, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this was a bad idea or whatever, And so this is a really, really good indicator on just like what the overall sentiment is, at least from my perspective. Now, let's take that a step further to the bigger picture, to the macro of this. Think back, indulge me for a second, I would say. Let's use Ripple because I like Ripple's chart for describing kind of alt seasons. Let's just go back to 2017, and we're looking at the price of Ripple here, and we're getting the two big spikes. Similarly, in those videos I did the other week where we talked about this, which I would encourage you guys to go check out if you haven't already, where we talk about what makes an alt season. Now, if you were around for either of these, if you can, I want you to try to go back and remember what it was like in, let's call it March, April of 2017, and then in October, November of 2017. And some of the best ways to do that, go through your old emails, go through your old posts on Facebook or Twitter or wherever your social media is. And specifically, look at the attitude that you yourself had and try to remember how it felt about what your attitude towards crypto was, especially if you were a part of this alt season. There's many people that were in this way, way before. This doesn't apply to them. I'm talking about people that are relatively new, that got in, and within a couple months, they experienced one of these alt seasons. And if you think about what it felt like right before that happened, you also want to think about what it felt like to get you in there in the first place. What attracted you to crypto? Why did you get in? What was it? Was it the technology? Great. Was it seeing your friend who made a ton of money really quickly? Great. Was it seeing some news article or some overall, there was so much buzz about it and you were really interested? Whatever. But from my sociological, demographic, macro standpoint, both of these periods had a mass of people that all had a collective buzz going that was permeating out into the world, that was bringing in a new form of energy that all culminated into these huge apexes of altcoin pricing. Okay? Now there's science behind that, there's economics behind that, but this is kind of a blend of everything. The reason why this is important is as we look at things like Binance chain, what just happened with Binance, the energy of seeing this kind of news, of seeing good news, not only will this affect the charts of things like Bitcoin and anything else, but what it does is it changes the conversation that we're seeing online and that we are all having. It changes the overall energy and the attitude so that we are all putting out that kind of positive hope, potential, the future, this is what's going to be, this is going to change the world, that sort of vibe. And that is what is going to attract the next huge wave of people and energy, and that's going to create the next big altcoin wave, altcoin season, whatever you want to call it. Because I can't stress this enough. The price is not going to go up on anything in crypto unless a lot of new people come in and buy more. And the only reason people are going to come in and buy more is if the existing people bring them in, both consciously, like you tell your friend, hey, I'm going to show you how to crypto, or subconsciously, where you believe it and that energy draws that. That's just how things work, right? That's how cults create huge masses of energy through belief. And so I think that this is a good reminder. It's a good micro example for all of us that what this feels like to see this sort of good news is a reminder of what it felt like before and during these previous alt seasons. And as a collective organism that is the crypto community, it's really powerful to have that group mentality. And you can only force it so much. I mean, a lot of it's just going to have to come from market and products and whatever it does. But there is no magic thing that's going to create the next alt season other than people getting excited about crypto again. It's a chicken and an egg situation, and we'll see which one it is. Maybe it's got to be the crypto first, but maybe it can be the people first. We'll see what happens. Okay. Similarly, Goldman Sachs released their latest bearish forecast, and Goldman Sachs originally was it was funny because last year everyone was like, oh, actually they're pretty accurate with their calls, and end up they weren't accurate at all over the long term. They're coming out again saying that it's going to be a $5,900 dip. It's going to be we're going to retest the $6,000 levels. You're going to see more and more of this. And I'm not saying that you should ignore it, but you should make your own decisions. You should check it all out. I have no idea. I don't try to make price predictions on this sort of thing. But it's important to know that this is not going to stop. Okay? If this is the kind of headline that people want to see, especially people that are outside the community, a lot of people do not want to see Bitcoin succeed. Not only like banks and governments and stuff like that, people that are just haters, right? They just don't like it. They don't want it to succeed. They're going to eat this up, and they're going to spread this kind of stuff too. So I think it's important just to keep an eye on this. And one, you don't need to share this and spread this kind of stuff around because you don't want to get a reaction of the headline. What you want to do is you want to look at this and say, all right, I know Goldman Sachs has a motive here. They are not out to be the best forecasters. They are out to make billions of dollars. Okay. This is calculated and clear. This is strategic in many ways. So keep that in mind. as you see anything like this, because this all ties together. If we want this next big boom to happen, we just gotta fight this stuff, and you gotta focus on the news and the things that are positive and things that are good. And the market's going to do what the market does, but do not underestimate how much the collective unit can make a difference. Similarly, but actually on more of I would say a positive note, JP Morgan's Amber Baldette gave a discussion about how they're looking at cryptocurrency, or blockchain, I should say. Now, this is interesting because JP Morgan's obviously got their own stance on Bitcoin. They've got a different stance on blockchain. I believe they're part of the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. So they're hiring like crazy for blockchain. They're obviously interested in blockchain. But this article was super interesting, and I don't think I could find the exact press release. So I'm just going to link the CoinDesk article for you guys. But what she said was that JP Morgan made a private fork of Ethereum, and they're going to do all their own stuff on that private fork. But what they really want is people to connect to the main chain of Ethereum, to Ethereum Classic maybe, to other blockchains, to other forks, whatever. But that's their big, that's their big problem right now. It's not really like they're building what they're going to build, because they have to make it private blockchains for security reasons, obviously, and for, whatever, intellectual property. But one of their big things that they need, and I mean, it's all here, is them saying, how do we securely connect to the world but still have a private blockchain? And this is the thing I've been talking about for weeks, if not months, is that one of the biggest things in 2018 is going to be how one blockchain talks to another, right? How are these all going to interact? Private, public, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all of them. And that's going to be a very, very big deal. And she's coming out and saying this sort of thing. So I would encourage you guys to read this, because you want to talk about how to make a good investment. Go find the companies that make the most money and have them tell you what their biggest problem is, and then go find a product that solves that biggest problem for them. And you will find things that are incredibly good investments. So I would encourage you, legit, just go through all these coins if you haven't. Find the ones that match a lot of the criteria that she talks about in this article, and then make your decision from there. And then you'll start to see that sort of thing. But this is a huge macro. This is a major piece of the puzzle that's been missing, where somebody with a huge amount of money comes out and says, this is what we need for us to go big on blockchain. We need this solution. Interoperability, whatever you want to call it. Oracles, ... Okay, lastly, I put out a poll this morning, which I thought was this was super interesting, which is, which piece of information would be most valuable to you right now? The first answer was price of Bitcoin in 24 hours. The second was price of Bitcoin in 30 days. And third was price of Bitcoin in 6 months. And 69% of you chose 6 months, 23% chose 30 days, and 8% chose 24 hours. So obviously, I think that speaks volumes of not only this audience, but really just the overall mindset of what we're looking for in cryptocurrency. I think that this appeals to where's this all going? What's the big picture here? But I think what was fascinating to me is so when you drill into the answers to this. So let's say I told you that the price of Bitcoin in 6 months was going to be $11,000, right? And that's what I told you. I mean, I obviously don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. And you would say, well, man, it's 91. It's only going to go up to 11,000. That's ridiculous. But what I didn't tell you is that it's going to go to 160,000 first and then go down to 11,000. Would that piece of information be how would that answer change for you? Similarly, the price of Bitcoin in 30 days, the price of Bitcoin in 24 hours. These all have pros and cons to them. I think that, and this gets into that question that I've been thinking a lot about, which is, if this was 1994 or 1995, how would I know what to hold on to? How would I have any idea that Amazon was going to do what it did when there was literally thousands of internet companies to choose from that were much bigger and much better than Amazon? And looking back, we can obviously say like, oh, well, you invest in the founder, and but it's very hard to know. There's a lot of survivorship bias built into that. Very different frameworks to think about things. And I would encourage you all to think about this in the same way, is that if you knew the price in the future, like, is that enough? Or do you want to know the path that it takes to get there? Because if you don't care about the path, then that's one thing. And you truly could probably just sit back and hold and hope for the best, assuming that you believe it is going to go up. But this is one of the reasons why I have taken a liking to trading, is because I've realized that for me personally, and this is different for everybody, even if I know Bitcoin was going to go up to, call it $30,000 by the end of the year, let's just say that's what it would be. It would be very hard for me if I didn't have the ability to do anything while it went up to 90,000 or it went down to 2,000 or it did all the things in between. It would be extremely hard not to try to take advantage of all that, even with the end goal in mind, because unfortunately, no one knows what the price is going to be in the future. And the only thing you really can control is, what's happening right now. Or at least you can't control it, but you could, control your risk to a certain extent. So there's no right answer. I think that this is helpful from a long term, but I would encourage everybody to take this as far as you can with your thinking. Like, really visualize it. The same way you're going to visualize the altcoin stuff and what's going on with Binance, like how we create a new alt season. Visualize this. Like, write it down on your notebook. Like, okay, what if the price was 100,000 in December? How would my life change? What if the price was only going to be 8,000 in December? What if it was going to go up to 60 and go down to 8? How would my strategy change? Would it change? Am I okay with it quadrupling and then dumping again? I don't know. If you are, great. But if you're not, you want to ask those questions now and not after the fact and be like, oh man, I wish I'd thought about that before. Because thinking now leads to good decisions later. Plan, execute. All right. Cool, guys. Always an adventure in this market. I love it. And I hope everybody has a great day. If you didn't see John Oliver, go check it out. First time HBO. Man, got my first cameo. It's great. And I will catch you guys later. All right. Peace out.